Hello, I'm Savior of Galia, and today I'm reviewing Right to Hell Retribution. Right to Hell, a notoriously bad game often described as the worst game of all time. I wouldn't go that far to say it's the worst game ever made, but it definitely isn't a good game, and likely the worst game on the 7th generation of consoles. Well, it's time to review this game. First, I'm going to review the story, so go to this timestamp to avoid spoilers. The game starts off with the protagonist, Jake Conway, dozing off during the Vietnam War. I think the war ended without the help of Jake, because the next scene he's home. Here we get introduced to the uncle of Jake, Mac, and his little brother Mikey, who is a tall sack of shit. After some boring cutscenes, Mikey ran away and Jake has to get him back home. He caught up with Mikey, but now we are introduced to the villains, the members of the Devil's Hand. These guys are insane. First they threaten Mikey, then they let him go, to be immediately changing their minds. All because of the jacket Mikey wears. They are out for blood, and after a rather funny confrontation, Mikey died and Jake is shot and left for dead. Jake unfortunately survives the bullet wound. Now Jake is out for revenge, so we fight the first member, Anvil, who apparently sliced off an ear of a baby cow. But before we can fight Anvil, we get curb stomped along the way, where either Jake needs to find information by killing Devil Hand's goon, or he gets attacked by said goons. However, we get to Anvil, and Anvil rides away on his tricycle. You have a certain amount of time to riddle him with bullets, then a rather funny cutscene happens. Jake kills Anvil and then through a tantrum attack. So now we can kill another member, and we get two choices, Meat Hook and Colt. Doing Meat Hook lets you do a racing minigame, until we reach the UFC arena. And I won all rounds by spamming the kick attack. Why would I do a flashy combo when you can stun lock your opponent? On your third round you fight Meat Hook, who used the weapon, but the kick stun lock made him a joke. In the end he was killed by Greasy Steve. Now it's Colt's turn to die. Jake really does dumb things. First he got to kill truckers and steal their tanker truck, because he wants to blow up the power station, just to turn off the electric fence. Then Jake destroys Colt's wheat farm. Colt got away, but Jake caught up. Then he kills Colt. First by shooting him in the kneecaps, then in his dick, then he headshots him. What a waste of ammo. Next up is Greasy Steve. Again we get stopped because we need to race and kill goons. Greasy Steve dies in a pathetic way. Now it's King Dick's turn. It's possibly the most boring mission in the game, yet we do the same thing over again, racing and killing goons. Jake kills King Dick by drowning him in shallow water. The next target is 666. His chapter is filled with action, but that isn't a good thing. I explain more of it later. 666 dies in his own sawmill machine. Now there are two more members. First we kill Pretty Boy. Despite his name, he is anything but pretty. He dies of torture by Jake. And finally there is Caesar, the leader of the Devil's Hand. The final chapter is brimming with long fights. However, Caesar died during the race with Jake, because Jake gouged out his eyes, followed by riding off a cliff and exploding. Jake finally avenged his brother and uncle, then the game ends. But there is also one DLC where you fight Matt Cook. He tried to destroy America with a nuclear bomb, but he failed, and that concludes the story. The gameplay is the worst part of the game. It's very stiff and clunky. There are three types of goons in the game. The dumb as fuck charge in with melee weapons, the one with a gun with a few more brain cells, and the hockey mask ones. Many call them Jason Voorhees. It's also the worst enemy in the game. While normal goons get killed by one bullet in the head or multiple clips of ammo in their body, the masked dudes takes multiple shots to the head to take them down. Then there are races. They feel unpolished and clunky. You also fight sometimes on your bike. It's either a slow motion shooter or a melee quick time event. And if you die, you're kinda in a loop of riding to the side and explode. Killing goons make them drop ammo, drugs or a weapon. Drugs you can sell for money, and with money you can buy abilities or weapons for Jake. Even if you got them all, the game is still bad. You also get rewarded by murdering men. For example, this couple have a quarrel about something, Jake kills the dude and instant gratification. Don't worry, the type of sex Jake enjoys most is dry humping. Fully clothed sex. Even if Jake said I could use a drink, the female basically says sex. And Jake is like, okay. He never saw that drink though. You can also customize your motorbike. I make a joke out of it. That is basically everything the game has to offer gameplay wise. Shooting, racing and screwing. This was basically my face in real when I finished the game. The graphics are infamous because they already looked outdated and unfinished, even when the game launched in 2013. Characters have stiff body movement, awkward facial expressions and poor lip syncing. Many scenes look almost mannequin-like, especially during conversations and cutscenes. A lot of surfaces uses muddy, low-resolution textures and environments often lack detail, making the world feel flat and repetitive. Even compared to the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era games, it looks more like a PlayStation 2 game. The music is rather repetitive, thanks to the rock and metal tracks. The best song is Pressure and Time by Rival Sons. Even though it's an okay song, it's forever tainted by this game's image. The developers clearly wanted the music to make you feel like you were in a rough biker movie. The game often tries to sound cool and gritty, while visually falling apart, which makes a bizarre atmosphere. Ride to Hell Retribution feels less like a finished video game and more like a collapsed project. Nearly every mechanic fights against the player. Shooting lacks impact. Melee combat devolves into repetitive quick-time brawling, motorcycle handling feels weightless, and the enemy AI behaves with startling inconsistency. Missions repeat the same ideas endlessly, while technical problems constantly interrupt the little momentum the game builds. The game is no longer available digitally, but physical copies still exist. I do not recommend this game to anyone. This was my Ride to Hell Retribution review. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment, like and subscribe. I'm off making my next review.